Thanks for coming to the second member interview for CRF. My name's Kevin Walker. I also am a choroideremia patient. I am a member of the CRF Brotherhood, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and work here with my beautiful wife and kids. I don't work with them, I live with them, but that's another story. We're here today to talk to Neal Bench, who is a little bit longer time in the CRF, and we want to get to know some of those fine folks that fill out the foundation. And welcome, Neal. Thanks for coming.
I'll just give a real brief intro. I am Neal Bench. I happen to be the current president of CRF, trying to do half the job that Dr. Chris Mohn did when he was president prior to myself starting here. I've been with CRF about 10 years. My wife and I found CRF in 2011, and we started going to conferences in 2012. So I am 65. I have CHM in an advanced stage. No vision in my left eye, and a little bit of vision still left in my right eye. My wife, Jeanette, and is a great partner and a team member. It takes a team to do anything, whether or not you have CHM, as far as I'm concerned. And then we have two sons, twins, Karsten and Tyler. They currently live out in Utah. And we just got yet another video of one of our sons mountain biking, which he does endlessly. And he's going downhill at 32 miles an hour through tight gaps in trees and rocks. And I love seeing those because that is further proof of the infamous XLinked part of CHM. And it's very nice from my position, at least comforting to me to continually confirm that they don't have CHM. And
that's truly awesome. I mean, that's nice to see that they're not going to have some of the same limitations as far as sight.
Right.
Very good.
And I should follow up with that. But the good news is, we are making tremendous progress, and even if they did have CHM, like a number of people do, we at CRF truly believe that with the phenomenal effort by the researchers and the donors and the supporters and all our volunteers, again, it takes a team that the progression of this disease will be stopped, and replacement, restoration of vision will also happen in the future. We won't put a timetable on that, but definitely in the future.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I know that when I found out I had choroideremia, the doctor was familiar with it and diagnosed it correctly the first time and basically said, good luck. I hope something happens in your lifetime. Ooh. And that was the best he could offer. And I have to say, after getting involved with the CRF in the last few years, I have been incredibly impressed and pleased with the work that's going on and the research that is underway and just leaping ahead of itself to find a cure. And it's incredibly hopeful at this point. So, I mean,
fail to add in that although this interview right here is taking place, at least from my perspective, in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, where my wife and I have a small cabin up at about 4,000 feet in elevation. We live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Lived there about 15 years now, almost 20 now. And we really enjoy both locations.
And I hear that there's some research going on in the Chapel Hill area as well, so that's not bad either.
Yeah, they're in right next door at I will say this university, but cautiously Duke University. That's the current home of Dr. Alexandra Yanacone, and I've talked to him and met him over there. And UNC is doing some gene therapy research, and I think both places are doing the gene editing type work, and lots of good research is going on. And we hope to we keep looking at all locations, at all researchers, and anytime we can find a fit and an opportunity for funding research, we do our best to accomplish that.
Yeah, I've been impressed in the few years that I've been a member. The amount of time and effort to stay on top of what's happening and put people in the right place if they qualify for the trials. It's been impressive. How would you describe it affecting you as you were growing up? As you said you're diagnosed pretty early with RP, and then it changed as you were correctly diagnosed in your 30s. How did that sort of early, sight issue, I guess, grow with you? How did that work out?
I have two brothers. My older brother has choroideremia, and my younger brother does not. And my my younger brother has been very, very, very supportive of CRF and his two brothers, and my older brother is now involved in CRF also, which is great. But although we were diagnosed, my parents chose not to tell us. Very tough decision for parents. They just got to pick one or the other, and they went that route, which we thought that was perfectly fine. Not that we knew at the time, but it opened doors for us. It didn't stop us from attempting anything, and all that I knew or thought was that I had different vision from other people, and not because of a disease. Be walking in the woods with friends of mine in high school, and I'd walk into a tree, and a friend would say, "How would you do that for?" And I said, "Well, it's nighttime." And I said, "Well, come on, right? It's dark out. You can't see the trees." He goes, "Well, I can see the trees." And I said,
right.
It's total baloney. And he goes, "No, I can really see him." And I just said, "Oh, well, I guess he has better night vision than me." That's all I thought, and we just moved on. So, wrestled, got a license, drove. Very fortunately, no significant issues driving. I drove till my early 40s. Should have stopped before that, probably. I guess I'm, whatever, a more fortunate CHMer, somewhat, just in the progression of my vision. I'm 65. I still have some vision in my right eye and 0 in my left.
Okay.
So, I skied, although it's dangerous. Critical for any skier, especially a CHMer, learn how to sit down and stop yourself long before you run into a tree. But I was fortunate. I did a lot of cycling, running, swimming. I was a triathlete. I stopped that for a number of reasons, maybe 10 years ago, but vision was part of it. But now I ride, well, not now because of COVID, but I ride a tandem with a good buddy of mine, and he's an excellent cyclist, so that works out really well.
I also saw that you spent a little bit of time on a trainer in order to raise some good money for a good cause.
All the advancements that take place, not only with CRF, but in any organization, can really only happen with teamwork. And CRF has an unbelievable team. One of our guys, it might have been Chris Moan. I'm not sure who found it, but they found the $1 million bike ride opportunity with UPenn. We applied. That was our 3rd year that you were talking about just this past year. A lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie, incorporates exercise, which we hear from a number of our researchers. That's a key ingredient to, having potential positive effects as far as delaying vision loss. Nothing guaranteed, but so yeah, the $1 million bike ride is great. This year, We went virtual. We held an event at our house, physical distanced massively.
City to city, right?
Right. I chose to do the 70-mile ride for the second time, although this time on a stationary bike, or on my bike, but on a trainer, and still tracked the same route through Philly that my buddy Rich and I did the year before in Philly. And we had, what I did was one thing. That just took a lot of time. It took about 4.5 hours on the seat. But the real interesting ingredient to our event was Peter Boone, another CHMer who lives in Durham, next door to Chapel Hill. He came over with his unicycle, and he logged almost 8 miles live on a unicycle out on the road, around our neighborhood.
I can imagine not one person can accomplish all of the good things that are happening.
Actually, I'll throw a question back to you. I mean, when I first met you, you were obviously CHMer, and you were involved in CRF, and subsequent to that, you volunteered to do things which we cannot function without volunteers. You also took the great opportunity to go over to London to be a part of CRF's first international single-day conference. And that turned out to be a great event. Corey McDonald and Jason McKinney were the organizers of that. Again, phenomenal volunteers for the CRF. And so what did you think of that when you were over listening to doctors and researchers and fellow CHMers over in England?
One, I wanted to meet some more folks, who had CHM. And then the second side of it was I like to travel. It was pretty much an excuse just to go to London, and who doesn't like London? But on the flip side of it, it was a lot of fun to go over there and meet some folks and sort of hear about the research that's happening a little bit more local. Because, I went to a conference in Dallas and had a completely different, set of speakers, and they were talking about, the research they were working on more here. And then the London researchers were talking about some things that was going on there. So it's kind of interesting to hear the different approaches on the different sort of research arenas. But yeah, I've seen a lot of good folks volunteer a lot of time and put in a lot of effort to this. And I see myself beginning to sort of take advantage of some of those services. And I feel like I kind of need to step up and get involved where I can here and there. And, in between two youngish kids and a full-time job, we have some time here and there to donate to the organization. But yeah, just the support and being able to talk to other people who are, at different stages and farther along that timeline of site impact, it's beneficial. And just every day somebody posts on the group, I just got diagnosed, what should I do? And 50 people offer up insight. And while that may seem like, wow, that's a lot of people telling me what to do, a lot of us, when we were told that we had choroideremia, there was nothing to tell you other than get ready, sorry. And now the hope and support is why we're all here. And that's probably, what makes me come back and what makes me want to participate. So, that's where I am, Neal.
Like you said, we went to our first conference in 2012 up in Boston, and it looked like it would be, I might be useful if I was to, get more involved. I have a financial background, which I utilize if any group that I'm involved in. I'm happen to be a volunteer on our Chapel Hills Planning Commission, and when things come up, I sort of look at things more from a financial position, and that has some benefit to the CRF also. One thing that I do realize is that when we are so fortunate, CRF that is, to get someone to volunteer to be the treasurer of the CRF, I do understand how much of a commitment and how much responsibility comes with that position. And the CRF has been extremely fortunate to have people volunteer to take on that position and do a great job when they're there. Again, none of this happens without teamwork. There's just no way it can happen without teamwork. And currently, we're embarking on, with COVID, we're embarking on many more webinars, science-based and patient support-based. And we just had our first science-based, like official, we call it a webinar report from our funded researchers, was with Dr. Richard Harbottle from Germany. And as he's talking, we said, boy, it sure sounds like you might enjoy having a conversation with Dr. Gam up in University of Wisconsin, who's doing cell-based research, not only for CHM, but for other retinal diseases. And he did, and we hooked them up, and they've had some good conversations. And then when our second webinar took place with Dr. Bose Battaglia out of Philadelphia, I mean, it was obvious that we really need to continue to get these researchers talking to each other, because it seems like they can be more productive when they, maybe not necessarily working together, but at least communicating with each other. And we have held 2 science symposiums, one 2 years ago, and one about 5 years prior to, or 3 years prior to that, maybe 4. And we plan to hold a Zoom-based, fast-paced science symposium type meeting coming up hopefully in October. And one of the main goals of that is to make sure all of our researchers know who other fellow researchers are, and get a commitment that they're all willing to talk to each other. So we think that's going to yield even more benefits.
I can see how that would work. I mean, I can imagine everybody's sort of heads down doing their work, and they may not be aware of what else is going on out there, because it's just like, your heads down with your family, you kind of lose track of your friends every now and then, and some other obligations. And this is a bigger extension of that. I'm sure they're running teams and making sure everything is going to their plan, and may not be looking around to what other people are doing. So yeah, I can see how that's a big benefit. One of the other webinars that I've seen on the group site is some practical things, in addition to the research that you guys are sort of linking and putting together, is also some of the practical conversations, like when do you start caning? When do you admit that you need to get some special training? I mean, that I think is one of the other big discussions of the group is when do you start?
Right.
I find that to be also very important.
When do you start caning, as an example of a informative webinar? And one of the best times to start using a cane is when it's beneficial to others. It doesn't have to be beneficial to you as a CHMer. It can be, that's nice, but if you choose to make your life more difficult than it needs to be, that's your choice. But a cane, there's 2 tremendous benefits to a cane. One is when you're walking with your partner, spouse, kids, anyone, it takes the stigma off of you, because without a cane, you look like you're not, maybe many times, not exactly under control of yourself. And the cane at least sort of tells people, he doesn't have perfect vision. Many times they'll just think you don't have any vision. And then the other part of it is going back to those around you, whether you're walking through an airport or whatever, it gives other people a sense of what you may or may not be able to do. There's no question most people in the world are extremely nice people. They're more than willing to help and ask and give directions. And it opens doors for others to provide help. And you don't have to, there's nothing wrong with saying, no, I got this, I'm good. Or at the same time, you can say, hey, thanks a lot, gladly take your help. And so a cane is not necessarily for the CHM or the low vision person themselves, although no question, they're highly beneficial.
Yeah, I don't currently use a cane, but I see the day when I do, like if I was now, I'd probably have to take 3 with me everywhere, one for me and one for my son to use it like a sword, right, and one to be broken. And so I'd have to have a constant supply.
It's a great point of view. Jeanette and I were at some music thing, a couple years ago, and one of our neighbors was there, and they have 2 small kids, and I had my cane, and I didn't notice it, of course, but the young boy was like trying to grab for my cane, and his mom goes, "Oh no, don't do that." I said, "Oh no, that's cool," because I have a fold-up cane. I said, "Here." First, I folded it up and handed it to him, and I mean, in about a millisecond, this 2-year-old was unfolding and folding the cane like he had been doing it all his life. I said, "Don't worry, you can't hurt it. It's fine." But so they are useful toys also.
Over the years, you obviously were using a cane. Have you done any other adaptive things other than accommodations at work? Have you done any other sort of you said you stopped driving 20 years ago. Any other special things that you've taken on to get through life?
Well, no question. I wear sunglasses. They help a lot, and in many different ways. And more recently, I actually wear sunglasses inside some now, just because the light keeps changing indoors on me, and many times they actually prove to be very useful. I do invert my PC and my phone with the black background, white lettering, massively better, no question about it. On my old PC, which I just switched over to new, and I haven't set it up 100% yet, but a slightly larger pointer. And those days are slowly going away, so I just embarked on at least subscribing to JAWS, the screen reading program, and I plan to become well versed on that. And because I want to make sure I remain productive and communicative with as many venues as possible.
Excellent. I know every time I hear about a new piece of software or app that's out there, I'll download it, take a look at it, walk through it, poke at it, see what it does. So yeah, it's there's a lot of potential out there to do some good, be helpful.
Right. Actually, the webinars that on assistive technologies were quite interesting. Again, when people, if they choose to take advantage of them, just get an understanding that not everything is for everyone. It's information, and it might be useful now, it might be useful later. Who knows?
Indeed. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with the CRF world out there before we wrap it up today? Was there any pearls of wisdom you wish to cast about?
Well, sure. And I'll do a couple of them if I can think of them. But one is certainly don't limit yourself at all. One can do almost anything at any time. If you just use your head and take advantage of resources and assistance, if need be. Certainly everyone should be probably no limit to thanking their partners and spouses and kids that help out along the way. Anyone who tries to help is giving it their best shot. And even if you get walked into a wall, no biggie. Just say, I'll get that one the next time. And also a tremendous appreciation for, again, anyone who gets involved with CRF, even if it's just becoming a member. Number two, anyone who is so kind as to support CRF, both either in volunteer time or in donations, both are equally as important to the CRF.
And both is even better.
Well, sure. Good point. Join the CRF, look around for a while. There's no pressure, no demands, and then if you find an area where you might want to help out, that would just be great. And we tremendously appreciate all the great research that people are doing. They're highly dedicated people. They're unbelievably friendly and personable. At least all the researchers that I've ever met, and they are just they would love to come up with a cure, and we're going to do our best to help support them, and also anyone. This is one of the biggest benefits anyone can do for the CRF is A, find us, B, join as a member, which is you can join for free or you can pay to be a member. But also please sign up on our registry. The main goal of the registry is just to get known CHM headcount. That's a big driver for the large, the pharma companies, the researchers, as they move ahead. They need volunteers, they need patients, and they need customers. And we're really hoping that there will be a product that we can purchase and utilize from a number of companies down the road that will benefit CHMers.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time today. And I'm sure some of the folks at CRF who are out there on the Facebook group who don't know everybody appreciate getting to know their president. I appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin, and thanks to everybody for doing everything you do.